Yeah, it should be live now. Yeah,
Gonna post that real quick. We're live?
Yeah, I think we're live now. I'm just gonna have a look to make sure, because I pressed start streaming, so I'm hoping
Oh
it's
yeah, I see
connected.
it.
Wait, is it there?
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, it's there. Right, so hello everyone. I just want to make sure that there's at least a couple of people watching. How do I see what's going on? Studio mode. Oh, not there. I'm gonna just check how many people are watching. I'll go on my other account and just quickly have a look. We're just waiting for guests to come on, so we'll start once we have a couple of people here. Are you here? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You? Can you?
Hear you.
Okay.
I guess we're kind. Wait, I'll send you this picture. This chart thing I made.
Send it to me so I can have a
Earlier
look.
this morning. You can kind of tell me what you think about it.
We'll have a look now. I'll just make sure that everybody can see it on the screen, so then that way it's not really going to be an issue. Sorry. Just going to check how many people are watching now. Nobody. Oh, for Christ's sake. Well, someone will later. Yeah, I would have to agree with this chart.
How's that possible? Like,
Okay, so the reason I think that is because
yeah, I
if you
think
have a
it's kind of
5
obvious.
guy that approaches and has loads of volume versus a guy who's a 7 who doesn't have much volume, you could argue that both will have the same results, I agree. But in practice, what usually happens is the 7 guy will end up using dating apps instead. But if we're talking purely based off cold approach, bars and clubs, then yes, I would agree with you.
Yeah, thanks. I got inspired by like the way you kind of do your videos. You have a lot of, like charts and like infographics and stuff, and I kind of wanted to implement more of those into my videos.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because I feel like it's really important to have those infographics and stuff because they actually help you look at dating from a more visual perspective. But yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that. So after we've covered this graph, we can then talk more about what's it called? That thing that you sent me. Those videos from different dating advice, different streamers, and obviously different
We're gonna
YouTubers.
be reacting to it, yeah.
Yeah, today's goal is going to just be reacting to dating advice from different dating coaches and black pill creators. We'll be critiquing and validating where possible. So how should we start?
Didn't you have like an order we were gonna do?
Yeah, there is actually going to be an order. And the order that we agreed on was we're going to first start with there was the face IQ, this YBC too cold, there's the some women will find the attractive one, playing with fire, wheat waffles. Which one do you want to go with first? Or Colin McGill?
I think we should do the Colin McGill one first
Alright.
because I chose that because it was like a good summary of like Wheat Waffles' approach.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna have a look at YouTube now.
what's up?
And make sure to share your screen with me.
Yeah, well, I think I have my screen on here. I've shared the screen here. Can you see?
I actually can't see.
Well, it's there. It's on the YouTube video right now. I have the screen up. And I'm going to put the volume.
Oh yeah, but could you screen share with on Discord?
I
Like go on
want to
Discord
online.
and
It's
say,
also
like share your screen, I think.
I don't know how you do that. Oh no, I know how. Screen share. Yeah, like that.
And now I can see it.
So now we're going to just focus on reacting to Wheat Waffles. Colin McGill's reaction to Wheat Waffles dating advice. So we'll just start now, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to lower the volume on the YouTube so that it doesn't get in the way. So I'll play it now.
everyone. Today I want to make a video discussing my opinion on Wheat Waffles approaching strategy. So let's get right into it.
Could you turn it up slightly?
I actually went out and tried Wheat Waffles approaching strategy last night. And I have a lot to say on it because I give a lot of inspiration to Wheat because I came across this approaching style actually close to around a year ago when he first started talking about his sort of day game and night game approaches and how they're much more direct and focused on aggression, anti-jester maxing, and really just getting in as much exposure as you possibly can. And he talks about sort of waiting on the S tier type of choosing signals. And so honestly, I've wanted to do it for a while, but my big thing with in-person approaching is just comparing it to online. It's not such a high ROI. There's pros and cons to both online and in person, which I could make a whole video talking about. But to really quickly summarize, the reason why I want to get out and do this was just simply as an experiment to get out and see what it's like. And I finally sort of had the night free to go out with one of my friends and try it. And I'd say I was also starting to feel like I wanted to get more quality.
Yeah, so we'll do the first pause for a sec. So I was gonna ask you, Jack, what is your view on Wee Waffles' approaching technique? I'll give you my opinion, but I just want to hear yours first.
My opinion is that his approaching technique claims to be efficient. But in reality, it's more just he has to do more volume because he's very heavily filtering and making sure that he's not gesturing or doing game on girls who are not necessarily the highest interest. And I think that he could make have an approach where he doesn't have to jester max as much, but he goes for women who are not necessarily S tier, but are giving him some pretty good signs. It's perfectly fair for a person to say like, I don't want to have to do all this game, to raise a girl from like D or C tier choosing signals to get S tier. But I think if you get A or B tier choosing signals, you should be able to make something happen if you just develop your game skills. But I respect him for giving like an actual cold approach guide that's black pilled because like I think that there are too many black pill guys that'll just say like don't approach. So like overall, my opinion on it is mixed, but probably leaning towards negative.
Yeah, I would agree. And my problem is, have a look at the way that he approaches. So, for example, you could see here, are you single? Are you looking to meet guys? Do you find me attractive? I feel like these are very weird questions and they come across as autistic. And the reason I think that is because you will know if she likes you or not. Because ultimately, an approach ends in one or two outcomes. You either see her again or you don't. You either make out or you don't. You either go to bed or you don't. So the answer will be, did these things happen? If the answer is no, it means she wasn't attracted. If the answer is yes, it means she was. So I feel like asking these questions makes the interaction feel a bit tense. What would you say?
I agree, and I think why do you think those questions would just come off as weird to a woman?
The reason is because it comes across as like FBI-ish, like a job interview. So if you ask a woman, "Do you find me attractive?" It's kind of like you're putting her on the spot, and you're putting too much pressure on her to make it work. When in reality, not every woman you go out with has to actually be a long-term partner, because things are not always going to be like really straightforward, because he makes out that you only have to score once, but I disagree with this, because you have to score multiple times. Because the biggest mistake that most guys make, and this is wheat waffles included, is trying to lock down the first girl that gives you A or S tier. But that's a really big mistake, because you don't know what they might be like later on.
Yeah, I agree. It does come off as you're kind of interrogating her. So I think you shouldn't ask those questions because like if she's really into you, then she's gonna, say like she's gonna go along with it and she's gonna say, yes, I'm single, yes, I'm looking to meet guys, yes, I find you attractive. But the thing is, you can't really force women to make a decision like right when they meet you. Like most of the time they're not actually making a decision right when they meet you, unless like they're just so in love with your looks, but they're not usually. Most of the time they're not going to make a decision right when they meet you. So kind of forcing that is just going to filter out the women that would have been interested if you got to know them a little bit, and gamed them a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, and I think that it just takes the vibe away from the conversation, because Wheat Waffles acts like any interaction that doesn't lead to his future wife is a total waste of time, when that couldn't be further from the truth. Because I could argue that maybe you'd learn a lot from the experiences that don't go anywhere, because he says things like, "Oh, save heartache, ask these questions so I don't get used for jester." But the biggest problem is you're not losing that much. That's the thing, like, staying in an interaction with a woman for a bit longer is not the end of the world. It's not like being used for jester, because he's acting like every interaction has to end up being a future wife.
Yeah, I think but the one thing I want to touch on again is that I do respect him for giving a cold approach guide, and I think that doing this would be way better than doing nothing.
Oh, I totally agree.
You might just learn some game just by accident by just doing this. Even if you're black pilled, you're like, oh, it's just about my looks. You're gonna get better at opening, better at starting conversations. So like, I really respect that he's probably the first black pillar that actually like gave like a coherent cold approach guide, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because I would say Face IQ also did it as well. But I'm actually going to say my unpopular opinion on cold approach, but I'll reveal that for later, because I feel like loads of people need to hear it. But I feel like I'm just going to continue this video and see what happens. I want more and more people to join.
Like I want to start seeing more of the Stacy's.
Yeah, we can play it for like a few
That
minutes.
sometimes I don't
Yeah.
see much as I want to online. It's also, just being honest. I mean, I'm really not the guy that's matching with a bunch of Stacy's. So I really want to get out and just see what this was like. So what is his principal approaching technique that he talks about? I haven't seen him actually do it live, sort of in field, but really it revolves around exposure maxing, aggression maxing, anti-jester, and really getting straight to the point with a few questions to find out just how attracted the girl is to you and just moving on. So the exposure maxing is really just doing as many approaches as you possibly can. The aggression comes in from sort of asking those three questions and getting right to the point and not wasting time. And that sort of coincides with, anti-jester. So what is the approaching format? So I've heard him, go on different explanations of it, but more or less it starts out with like 30 to 90 seconds of small talk, um, if even necessary, I would say. And then it sort of gets into the aggression part, which is three questions, starting with, are you single? Are you looking to meet guys? And do you find me attractive? If she answers no to any of these questions, you're out of there. You leave immediately because you basically realize it's not going to go anywhere. And if yes, then you can try to escalate, then start sort of the small talk, if not just, advance and escalate immediately as fast as you can. Because what's the point of wasting time? And so here are the way I saw it initially. Here are the pros and cons. Well, pros, it's definitely time efficient. There's no extra small talk. Like personally, I was explaining this to my friend last night, is that I really don't enjoy that much asking, what's your hobby? It makes no point to just ask them, what's your hobby? Oh, where did you go to school? All that stuff seems so pointless. Um, I don't mind doing it online, like just as a building rapport, like connection, building chemistry on a date and whatnot. But that's because they're already on a date with you. But doing these things before you even know there's any interest just seems like a huge, colossal waste of time. So,
I would say that you don't need to ask what someone's favorite color is. I don't think that's necessary, because I think that a better thing that you can do is to approach when there's already a reason to. So what I mean by that is not an unsolicited street approach, but in a situation where their guard is likely to be down. That way the approach will be 10 times easier because you already have an excuse.
That's a good idea. I mean, wouldn't you agree that that's not always feasible? Sometimes you just have to go on the street and just approach, you know?
Yeah, but the problem is your success rate will be a lot lower, because from my experience, whenever I've done cold approach at a certain place, which is quite easy to get to, I found that the results were way higher. Because I did have one date actually from total cold approach to a cashier one time. And then I had another one where it was in a museum, right? Which is what I call a semi-cold approach. And tomorrow, I'm going to be going out to the bar, to the pub tomorrow, and testing pre-selection. But overall, I would say street approaches can be good for confidence building. But I don't think they're the most, efficient way. But people will disagree with me on this, and that's okay. Like, I don't expect everybody to agree with 100% of everything I say, like it's a religion or anything.
So, what are your thoughts on? So his approaching format is 30 to 90 seconds of small talk, but I think he mixes in the small talk with being direct, and I think when he opens, it's like a direct opener. He's just like, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the format is like he sees like a girl he finds attractive, and he goes up to her and he says something like, "Hey, I just wanted to say I thought that you were absolutely beautiful." Something like that. It's
Yeah.
very direct,
Yeah, that's
and
still not a good way to do it.
I honestly think that's good.
Because saying beautiful
So I think we might disagree
immediately.
there.
No, so the reason is if you say beautiful immediately, right, that might come across as pedestal, right? So what I usually do is I do a situational opener instead. So for example, when I was in the museum a few months ago, right, I had an encounter that could have led further, but it didn't, because obviously she had to go back, right, to Japan. But I started by saying, do you prefer this one or that one? And there were like two vases in front of us. And then she responded, and it escalated into a conversation, flirting, tension, banter, etc. But if I had said something like, "Oh, you're so beautiful, excuse me," it might not have happened. The date might not have happened. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I might try that sometime, but I just don't really think that's going to work. If you're Jeremy Meeks,
Okay,
it'll
but
work. But unfortunately, we do not look anything like Jeremy Meeks.
Okay, but here's what Wheat Waffles would have said to that. He would have said, "Okay, but what happened on that date, right? You didn't end up sleeping with that girl or dating her. So like, wasn't it just that you just delayed the rejection by Chester Maxing? That's what he'd say. So like, what would be your rebuttal to that?
I would say I didn't get rejected because she had to go back to Japan. So we can't prove what would have happened after that, because I did see her twice. But it's very difficult to say what would have happened after that, because we can't simply know. But I'm just going to read out the
I think
chat
she w-
now. I think the choosing signals were 8.
You think she would have had to go back to the? You think she would have had to go back to Japan if you were a Chad? Maybe she would have stayed if
This
you were a
is
Chad. You know,
hilarious.
she would have been like, I could just stay here.
Oh yeah, actually,
Brutal,
if
man.
I was Chad, right? You know what would have happened? She would have just been like, nah, fuck my career, fuck my plans. I'm staying with you for your alpha imprint. No, actually though, what do you think? That might actually be right.
Yeah, I mean, I think even in most Chad cases, I think that wouldn't happen, but that would mostly happen to a Chad. Like, I don't think she would like, kind of, I don't think she would, kind of ruin her whole life, and get off track just for some like normie. I think.
Right, so I found the chats now. So after
Did
it
anyone say
ended,
anything?
so after the day ended, right? I'll tell you what happened. So the chat seemed relatively enthusiastic, and she said she hoped to see me again and stuff like that. But as they say, talk is cheap, actions are expensive. No, sorry, talk is cheap, walk is expensive. Like, it's easy to talk, but it's difficult to walk the walk. So some might argue that nothing would have happened either way, but there's no way we can possibly prove this. But I'd love to. Oh, I thought of something that we might have said. Even though I disagree with him,
What?
because I think it's good to get experience, even if you do get gestured, it's still good to learn, because if you go on dates, even if nothing happens, you can study the mechanics of attraction and how women respond to you. But you know what I think? If you were like a proper Chad, right, maybe it could have
Yeah.
ended up being more. So it could be like, I know I might be being too optimistic here, but what if they were just like, oh, come to my hotel? Do you think that realistically would happen?
Like if they just opened with that.
No, no, not open with that, but let's say, right? Oh, sorry. We have someone watching, and I need to be texting the
Yeah.
chat. I don't know why I can't see the chat, but I'm gonna text the chat now.
Okay. I'm currently a
Yeah,
low
sorry
tier
for not
normie. I
acknowledging
asked
the
out a
chat.
girl
I have
yesterday
my
and she
phone
said
open.
no.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I popsicle I 6644. Yeah, I have a huge problem because this OBS doesn't show the chat, so I'm just gonna keep it open on my phone. Yeah, continue, Jack. Answer his question.
My advice for you, popsicle, is yeah, rejection is very common, even in warm approaches, and you asked that. So you're a low tier normie. Okay, so that's not. If you're a low tier normie, then you're probably not too ugly to approach. And I would say my advice would be to you to explore other options besides warm approach and to have more of an abundance mindset. I know some people will say that's cope. Even I have probably said it's cope before. But just, realize that there are more girls out there that you can approach, that you could talk to. And just because you're rejected by one girl doesn't mean it's over. So like maybe you had like a one-itis over this one girl where you're like, I have to be with her, but you don't. There are plenty of girls out there, and like you should just go out there and approach and try your luck. Is
Yeah,
my advice.
absolutely. That's our advice. So my standards are pretty low. Well, first of all, I was gonna ask. So have you tried looks maxing before? Because I started off as an LTN.
By the way, it's good that your standards are low because I think we said this before. You have to practice and get better at game. And if you're going for women who are on your level or slightly below, or maybe even significantly below, then you're going to be able to practice your game. You don't have to go for like women that are, very unattractive, but like, if you find a girl like baseline attractive enough to have, intimacy with, then like it's a good opportunity to practice game. I feel like.
Yeah, and Hamza literally made a really great point that after every 6 months of looks maxing, you unlock a new tier of woman along the way. And I would say that that's pretty consistent. LTN after looks. Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, going to the gym actually works, but you have to actually have the aesthetic body though. Like, if you are average in the face, if you can make up for it with like a top 10, top 5% physique, then your results are going to improve a lot, especially on dating apps. But I would personally recommend trying to build pre-selection in a local venue or something. So, for example, my plan for pre-selection is I'm already a football fan, so I already have an excuse to head to the pub. I'll turn up early and I'll play some darts and just try and talk to a couple of people, whether it be man or woman, and just get into a social butterfly state and just keep doing that on a consistent basis. And then the bartender will know you, and then like everyone will just see you being surrounded by everyone, and then like the women will start being more attracted to you, and it will form like a domino effect.
Yeah, I think if I'm being honest, I think that game and like the you could try the pre-selection strategy he just talked about, but
Michael
game
Saute.
overall um is going to be higher ROI than going to the gym. I feel like because like going to the gym, it's like if you already have like like an average body, going to the gym, I'm going to be honest, it's not going to transform your dating life. It's more just going to be maybe a tiny bit of a boost. I think that game is higher ROI than like looks maxing by far. Game and volume, I'd say.
I would say I'm 50-50 on this, because if we're talking dating apps, yes, looks. But if we're talking like pre-selection, then I would say definitely what's it called? Game and volume. But even then, I still think the aesthetic body is very important, because when you actually pull her to the room, the interest will be way higher if you have an aesthetic physique versus if you don't. So I would personally still put looks at number one, but I would put game and volume at a close second. Or status. Not the fame status, but like having status in like an environment. Infraorbital implant and nose job. I would only get a nose job if the nose was like really stand out, like if it was really like ruining your face and you could improve your looks by 2 points. But I would personally start by bulking, like maybe lean bulk, put on like 5 kilograms of muscle, get a personal trainer, whatever it may be, and that will probably raise your SMV by 2 points.
2 points. I don't think. See, the problem is like we're disagreeing and we're both giving him advice, so he won't even know what to do. But
So
2 points, I
I
feel like
like
one
muscle.
point at
I like
most.
doing muscle talk, whereas you don't.
I think it's mostly cope. I'll be honest.
But I swear this is the first time we've properly disagreed. You're saying that it's not about muscle, but I'm saying it is.
Yeah.
But it will though. That's just my take. Because think about it, the version of you, shoe lifts. I wouldn't do that because you won't have any shoes when you're in the bedroom and she's gonna find out. But I would say you can wear shoes with thick soles, but not more than like 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. So I'm like 5'8", five
Or you
foot
can put
nine.
socks in your shoes.
Yeah, I'm like 174, right, centimeters, and when I have shoes
Yeah.
on, I'm like 176, right. But people always say that I look taller than I am, and people always say they think I'm 5'10", but I'm actually 5'9" or 5'8". But I think that's because I have a good frame. But some people say I'm a
Yeah. Frame is
lankless,
a
but
big factor.
yeah, like the gap between your shoulders. Having sloped shoulders is a huge disadvantage. Like, you want to have like the flat shoulders, which are quite long, and the good shoulders, you want to have a slim waist. So having the golden ratio, being in shape.
Mm. By the way, if you're using dating apps, so you said you're 5'7", um, like you should exaggerate on dating apps by like 1 to 2 inches to give yourself a bit of a
Yeah,
boost.
I always
So
say I'm
like,
five
say that
nine.
you're like 5'8" or 5'9". You say you're 5'10" or 5'9". How tall you say you are?
He said he's 5'7". Yeah, you have a decent frame, so that means you should go to the gym. You should lean bulk, and you can grow into a great physique in 1 to 2 years. But in the meantime, still talk to women as well, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not one of those guys that says wait until you're jacked. I say talk to women at the same time, because then that way you'll see the difference in the treatment that you get before and after gym.
So, Shoyu, what height do you put on dating apps? That's what I was asking.
5'9". Sometimes 5'10".
Fair enough.
But I say 5'9" because I'm actually 5'8". You're 21 too.
Yeah, so
yeah,
he says he's 21.
So we're all a similar age. Jack, you're 19. Popsicle is 21, and I'm 22. So college, right? So you're in a really good advantage because you're surrounded by women constantly. So do you go to parties? Do you go to events? Do you hang out with a lot of girls? I'd be careful about poisoning the well, if I'm being honest with you.
I agree about that. You want to just continue the video?
Yeah, we'll do that. And Popsicle is watching along anyway. And then as we do that, we can just have him ask questions and just enjoy Colin McGill's video, and then we can ask what he thinks.
Going in and knowing exactly what to say, and not having to think about, oh, what am I going to open with? What am I going to comment on? What are we going to talk about? Whereas if you simply know your script, you can almost phrase it better, use better body language, all these other things that game people will talk about being so important. If you know exactly what you're going to say every time, and you're accepting of the outcome, whether it's going to be yes to these questions or no to those 3 questions, you're accepting of the outcome. So therefore, all you can do is just focus on like what you're saying in the moment, have a lot more energy, and therefore you're happy either way, because if she says no to any of these questions, you realize, oh, I didn't waste 3 to...
So I was going to ask, so audience, what do you think of this video? And none of these girls in my circle have given me any indicators of interest, right? Ooh. In that case, I feel like it gets a lot harder, but I feel like if you did actually get the physique, you will get more indicators of interest. And even if you don't get indicators of interest at first, you could just try a basic conversation and see what their choosing signals are. And if the choosing signals look stiff or frozen, that means they're not attracted to you. So Jack, what's your take? Why are you so like against muscle? I find it hilarious. It was like, I was talking about how important it is, and you were like, no.
Well, my thought around it is, I agree that going from like fat, like if you're above like 25% body fat to lower, to like a like a healthier, like decent body fat percentage, I agree that that is very high ROI. But I think that if you're like reasonable body fat percentage, and like if it doesn't really look that different, if you're just walking around wearing clothes, you can't really see how ripped people are, and it's like, I just think that higher ROI would be just like doing more volume. It's like, I think that going from like, let's say like 20% body fat to 12% body fat would only maybe give you like half a point of S&V, and you can make up for that by instead just doing a lot of like more volume.
But if you're skinny,
I
you
just
can't
think that a
feel
lot of
your
this,
shirt.
like, sorry,
Well,
what?
what if you're skinny and you can't feel your shirt? Won't that hurt your chances a lot?
I agree. I actually think that would hurt your chances. But the thing about that is that, like, you're not actually gonna gain weight by being in the gym. You're gonna gain weight through eating more, and then like probably you'll do like be in the gym so that like you don't that make sure that extra weight goes to muscle, so that like you don't end up just like skinny fat or whatever. But like I feel like if you're just like an average guy, which a lot of guys are, most guys that start out, they're probably just like an average physique. Going to the gym probably won't like transform your dating life, I feel like.
This is a really difficult question. But I would say that it definitely helps a lot more than you think. But I'm going to have a look at the comments. Yeah, you didn't try with those girls. Well, I would say that another thing you can do is, are there any like bars or pubs near you? Or do you use dating apps at all? Or what other avenues have you been using?
I just know like of a lot of like gym cells or just like really like ripped guys who just have to go for like really fat women, because they're just not attractive overall. It's
Yeah,
like I just don't think it transforms it. But,
obviously,
I definitely agree that it gives you an edge. So like telling people to go to the gym, I don't think it's bad advice. I think just like but acting like it's gonna fix your problems, which I'm not saying you do, but like a lot of red pill people just say like just go to the gym, bro. It's like it doesn't fix your problems. It's just like an extra or like something that you should be doing anyways, but not necessarily for women.
if you're not into bars, we'll try use dating apps perhaps. But make sure you get like good photos. I made a video talking about the sort of photos that you need to take on my YouTube channel if you want to see matches on dating apps. But then again, it's not guaranteed because I showed that I did get some kind of decent results. But even with good photos, I would argue that it was quite difficult. Even
Oh yeah,
my
by the
looks
way,
match don't want me. I'll try
Popsicle,
it.
where are you from in the world?
Yeah, Geo.
His dating market is very important, as Wheat Waffles has talked about.
Yeah, he loves to talk about
Just
market.
gonna wait for it. It's probably delayed. I'm just gonna wait for him to.
He talks about market.
Yeah, let's just keep watching the video.
Yeah.
California. Okay, so you're from the U.S.
Yeah, that's a tough dating market because it's blue state.
Yeah, I want to get through this video.
Blue state America is very hard when it comes to dating because the social norms are very liberal, which means that women are very unlikely to want to settle for less, whereas in like red states they're more likely to value like traditional family values and stuff. So it kind of goes into politics as well. Surgery might save me. Well, it depends what surgery do you want exactly. Don't get Bimax. Get soft tissue fillers and stuff if you need to.
I was just saying, I think we should continue the video because I want to get through some more of these videos.
Yeah,
But like we
here.
can answer his questions in the meantime.
Yeah, that is the Jack the PUA from that stream. It's the same guy, yeah.
5 minutes talking to her. And if she says yes to all these things, well, perfect. Now I found the right girl who's interested. I can advance and escalate. So there's just no wasted efforts on uninterested girls. And you're basically screening for these strong choosing signals. So it's very easy to not walk away thinking, oh, was she interested? I can't really tell. You're pretty much realizing if it's not super strong interest where she blatantly will tell you, it's not worth pursuing. And that comes with some cons. So it is very direct and uncalibrated. I really came into this space
Audience,
really indirectly. So I could really go back on my history and how I've sort of learning more about the manosphere. But it really did start with more of the pickup side of things. So something like this, if you come from that school of thought, it's very direct and uncalibrated.
Yeah,
but the more
I'm surprised that this. I'm pretty sure this
those
Colin
other
McGill guy. I'm pretty sure he's like a
skills, like-
black pill guy.
He is. How could you tell?
I just was watching some of his videos, but like I'm pretty sure he just said that he was kind of got into like the social skills, like pickup side of thing. So like I guess like he just became black pilled after that.
He did.
Like the body language, the tone, and all of these other compensating factors that make it seem less direct and uncalibrated, you realize it really doesn't really matter what you say. So if you're someone who doesn't have any of the social skills or is just starting out approaching, I do think this will come across as a little bit like very direct and uncalibrated, but at the same sense, it's kind of the point of this. So as long as you can make it seem more natural and not come across as some black pill, like unsocial guy that doesn't know what he's talking about and just like literally couldn't even have a conversation past these three questions, you're not, I don't think you're in that much trouble. Um, and then so what's the next thing? So this is what I realized, and that wasn't something I necessarily thought about going into it, but it's very hard to approach group sets. It's not hard because pretty much, I'll get into my explanation of what I really did last night, but you can approach the group set pretty easily as long as you can get their attention. But the one issue that comes into play is if there's only so many groups in that spot, if it's a group of 3, 4 girls and you're going up to one of them, you kind of just wasted like 3 other girls that you could have approached if this girl isn't interested in you, because you're not just going to go up and say that to 4 different girls in the same group. It's just going to come across like that's the point where you just come across like, so you do sort of have to push your like investment in one of them. And if you're not like sitting around there like trying to see if she's giving you like choosing signals beforehand, it's going to be difficult, because my whole point with this and the big advantage of this is it's not about like wasting time. Like you're pretty much just spam approaching, getting as much exposure as possible, and that's the positive of it. But on the negative side, if you are approaching a girl who's with her friends, you can't really approach your friends after that. Whereas if you go in with a much more like normal approach and just trying to meet them, then yeah, you can sort of screen for which one seems to be the most interested in you, and that's something
Most
where
girls I'm into are way shorter than me. I don't know if that makes a difference. Like 5'1" to 5'4", and you're 5'7". I would say that it does. I would say that me personally, I don't really care how tall the girl is, but I think it's because you're not that tall. The women you attract are naturally going to be smaller as well. But I don't think you need to ask those 3 questions anyway, because I already said that the best way to approach a woman is whenever I've gone on dates via cold approaches, what I did was I would just comment on the observation. So what you say doesn't really matter, but don't compliment straight away. What I did was I would just make a comment. So when I was in the museum, right, and I was talking about there were like so many different things that we could see, I just asked the woman, oh, which one is your favourite? Then after that we just had a conversation, then things started happening. So I feel like it's not quite as structured as what Wee Waffle says, because I feel like this advice is a bit too, it's a little bit autistic, let's be honest.
to sort of cut to the chase.
I agree. Wait, could you pause it?
Yeah, I did.
I was just gonna say I agree that's pretty autistic, but what's what one thing I do appreciate that like the strategy requires you to actually show intent, because like I think the problem with indirect is that when you're a beginner, like indirect, here's what I'll say: indirect is probably going to be a bit stronger than direct overall if you're good at game, I think, right?
Yeah, like me and Jack have been practicing our game recently, and I would say that our approaches are a bit different.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So, I think I would probably say that direct is better, because like I'd say as far as both of our skill levels, I think both of us are on the beginner level. I think that Shoyu has been doing it, you know, has been doing it a bit longer than I have, but like both of us are still beginners.
Yeah.
What I found is that, like, so what I did, like I've done some direct approaches, and direct has been
Yeah,
my
he's
general
right.
strategy that I've used most of the time.
Man, here we are.
Like I
watching
did this
these people.
challenge. You cut out for a second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was just responding to the comment. Man, here we are watching these videos while normies and chads do this stuff naturally. I don't think normies do. Like, we are normies ourselves. My HTN friend who's 5'6" does well. Yeah, HTNs are like are gonna have way more success than regular normies. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, so like I like about a month ago, like for like a month, I tried this strategy where I was just starting conversations with women, but I wasn't like approaching. So every single day, I would start a conversation and just say something indirect, like say like, "Oh, I like your laptop," or like just like ask them for the time, something like that. Just practice starting conversations. And what I noticed is that I would never turn these into an approach. I thought at least one time, like they would give me some sort of signal, and I would turn it into an approach. And what I've noticed is like I've started actually approaching again. Like I've started going out with this guy in my city. Like I think like at the start of around the start of this month, the start of June, I started going out with this guy, and he has done way more approaches than me, and he tries to do at least 3 approaches every single time we go out. But the problem I noticed with him is that he's very indirect, and he gives off like a very like friend zone vibe, and he basically starts like every interaction like asking for directions, and then he just tries to transform it into like like a conversation, but like he never actually shows strong intent, never actually asked for the number. So like this is like what I've noticed with myself and him and like a lot of other beginners is like we're just too scared to just ask for like to show intent, Like it's hard to open, but like it's almost as hard to just like ask for the number or like tell a girl that you think she's attractive.
I still
And so
think
like
that's
my
not a
new
good
strategy
strategy.
just like to cut through it is just like I what I do is I just like go up and I just straight up direct like say like, hey, I'm trying to remember what my line is. So I just have to stop you for a second. I just thought you were very gorgeous or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, could I
that's
get
not a
your
very
phone
good
number?
line.
And I know that he would probably disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm
But like
sorry, but
for
I
me, it's
totally
like it's
disagree.
important to just like show intent, because like I find that hard to do. And if you're just in the beginning, you just got to give yourself a chance to win. It's better than just like having an interaction that goes nowhere. But what do you think about that?
It's only if you say that, I feel like you're coming from the low status position, right? And the whole point of game is that you have to come across as the one that has the more status. So, for example, it doesn't matter, right? Whether just I know that we talk about like SMV tiers and stuff like that a lot, but you should never think that a woman is out of your league. You should always operate as if you are better. You are the prize. And it doesn't matter if you're less attractive or not. You might not get her, that's fine, but you have to operate from the idea that you are the one choosing.
I kind of agree with that. But what's also comes off as low status.
What does?
It's when you're too scared to show intent, If you're too scared to like say your intention and you just give off a friend vibe, that's also very low status.
But the thing
And
is, she
it's
knows
like
your
getting a
intentions, so.
physical compliment is the number one way to like show that you find a girl attractive and show intent, which shows some confidence.
But I feel like women know your intentions. Like, I highly doubt, right, that a guy would go up to an attractive woman and think, I think she has a lot of knowledge about the football team. How about we have an intellectual
Yeah.
chat? I highly doubt men are thinking that, and I think women know that the only reason a guy would like approach out of nowhere is because he's attractive. Now, obviously, you have to build tension stuff. You have to like be able to navigate the interaction. But I almost feel like you don't have to directly say that you're attractive because I feel like she would know. And plus, if you get IOIs, it'll be very easy to flirt and escalate anyway. Because I found that from my experience, it's been like, it's been quite easy whenever they've been attracted to me. But who knows? Like maybe you think there's a different problem, but I just want to ask the chat what they think.
You know, they could tell when you're interested, but like if they can tell you're interested, but you're too scared to show intent, then that's the thing. There's a difference there, but like I think it comes from like body language. You know, there's a way where like you can be indirect, but like you're confident and like that comes off as good. But like for most guys starting out, being indirect is just gonna get them friend zoned and just ultimately rejected. So my thing is just like if you're a beginner, my honest advice is just like cut through all the bullshit and just like ask.
Yeah, but I feel like if you ask for a woman's number, or if you are in a club or a bar and you say, "Oh, fancy meeting again," or something like that, she's going to know that you're attracted, and I don't think you complimenting her would change that. I just texted my friend for advice as well, and he's literally telling me what he thinks.
All right, so like I think we should continue the video. Let's see if there's anything else interesting we could talk about in it.
Yeah, so we continue this video, and then after this, right, we can move on to. Shall we move on to YBC?
YBC would be good, yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing last night, I was really going, directly into these three questions. That's really just what I wanted to do. I think that's really all you have to do. But now I very much so see the point in trying to spend 30 to 60, 90 seconds getting to know the group of girls a little bit to screen for which one you really should show the most interest and offer the aggression of these three questions to. So that's something I would certainly change in the future. But I was
Wait,
a
could
little
you
bit
pause
just
just for
excited
one
to get
second? Just
into.
one thing.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, he's so he was talking about just earlier, and like the the problem with this strategy, he said, is that it makes it hard to approach group sets. Would you recommend beginners to approach groups of women, or should they focus on women that are by themselves?
I would say that it depends on the situation. But if you're in an event, like let's say there's a football game on telly, right? Or there's some kind of reason that people hang out in groups, then I think you can approach group sets. But I would say single sets are better, but you have to remember women that go to clubs and bars are very unlikely to be on their own. But what I would do is, I already said Michael Sartain's pre-selection. That is the king, in my opinion.
Okay, so my
Other women, so that's
we could talk more about pre-selection.
yeah. Like, I have this theory that you should friend zone some women, but I'm gonna do a whole separate video on that. I'm gonna do the pre-selection playbook.
I was just gonna say my opinion on the whole on approaching group sets is like if you're a beginner, honestly, I'm just gonna say you should focus on women that are by themselves if they're available. I'm gonna say that because it's gonna be less difficult, and you're not gonna have to like to snipe out like the fridge, and deal with the fridge and stuff, and all the friends giving all these objections and stuff. They're trying to reject you for the girl. Like there are a lot of bad dynamics with these group sets, honestly, and it gets worse the more women there are. Like approaching a two set like two women. That's not that bad, but like approaching like a whole group of women, like the whole group think is just gonna take over, and like it's not gonna be good. So like honestly, focus on like women that are by themselves, or maybe like two women. But women by themselves is like ideal for a beginner, and I think he probably agrees with. Shoyu probably agrees with me, but he'd say, in certain environments, in certain environments, group approaches can be fine.
Yeah, but I would say focus on singles, but I would argue that groups can be just as good at times as well. So yeah, we'll continue this.
The three questions, and I didn't necessarily think so much about
Okay,
the
but
small
could
talk
you like click
beforehand.
the full screen thing in
And then
like
next,
the bottom
logistical
corner?
factors, and something like a night setting.
All
You
right,
are in a great
perfect.
situation to where you can try to like pull back, escalate, move them to a different area of the venue. All that stuff is great, um, but if you are sort of stopping the group and her friend is listening, it can be a little bit like, is the girl going to directly answer you, yes, I think you're attractive, and immediately, advance and escalate with you? Can depend. It can be hard to isolate them a little bit. So it's not the perfect thing for that, but I think that really applies to almost any approaching strategy. The next thing I would say is demographics. So this one sort of goes into my actual results from last night, but I do think, and this can be cope a little bit, obviously, because if you're truly really good looking and you're in that chat tier, all of these extra hurdles you have to go through, they don't really matter as much because the choosing signals are just going to be that much higher. They're not going to make it more difficult for a guy they're truly attracted to like get a relationship with them. So I certainly believe that. But from a demographic perspective, just to shortly recap, I was in more of like a high class, like everyone was sort of a college graduate type, pretty wealthy area within the city, and these girls are a little bit less like primitive, as I would say, compared to like some other places you may go, and it's going to be very much so like primitive. They're there to meet guys, like, and that's really what they're there for.
Oh yeah. Pause for a sec. I had a different, separate question that's kind of linked to this video, right? Jack, may I ask you this?
Sure.
Do you think there is such thing as good girls or not? And what does that phrase mean? Because he said primitive, but it's like, what's your genuine opinion on that? Because I've seen loads of dating coaches talk about, oh, you need to find a good girl from Amish in the middle of the countryside who's a virgin. And I'm like, I don't really know if, I think that's a bit extreme, but what's your stance on this whole good girl thing?
I think I tend to take a middle approach because there's some content creators who take it kind of too far the other way, where it's like, oh, all women are the same, and it's like, not really. There's some women that are way worse than other women. It's
Oh,
pretty
I
obvious.
see.
But like, I think that the whole good girl, phrase probably does more harm than good because it kind of tells guys that they're exempt from female nature, but they're really not.
But some are worse than others, but it applies to all of them, really. Like, the core rules, the core caveats, they apply to every single one. But they're not all the same.
I agree. Yeah.
Or that's a huge part of the reason why they're there. And this venue wasn't necessarily great for that. So it wasn't, once again, it sort of depends on the girl you're approaching. You never really know until it happens, but it is something you have to think about. Is this aggression matching is going to work better on a
Alright,
different type
5
of
people are
girl
watching
versus
now.
another
If
type
you have
of
any
girl? But I
questions,
think
just
all
leave
in
them
all,
in the chat.
it is a pretty good strategy. And to cover my results, and my
Four.
thoughts and future plans. So pretty much, I didn't really get uh, very much success with it, because I really was just trying to approach the hottest girls, and it was pretty quiet last night. But I was able to go through this, and I pretty much just realized like right away, this is perfect. Um, a perfect strategy. I think I'm going to continue to do this when I do go out and potentially during the day. But there's a couple things I sort of want to start to think about ways I can adjust it a little bit, or how I can make them, small talk a little bit more formatted, so I have a little bit of a template to go off beforehand. And not that it really matters, or I think it matters what you say that much, but I do think there's some ways to put in some extra calibration depending on which sort of setting or venue you're at.
What is the
But
best geomaxing destination if you're a brown guy who likes blonde girls? First of all, what makes you want to geomax exactly? Because I feel like while it might sound great, uprooting your entire life structure might be quite difficult. But if I was to say what's a good geomaxing destination, maybe somewhere like, ooh, let me think. Best
I think Eastern Europe is
Eastern
definitely the
Europe.
spot.
Yeah, somewhere like, okay, not Ukraine because it's really dangerous right now because of the war, right? Maybe what? Poland, Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova. perhaps. Obviously not Russia, because of the current situation with Putin.
But I was just gonna say, I was thinking about this. Wheat Waffles gives the advice that you should go for the same race, right?
I
Same
just,
pheno is the advantage.
I mean, I think I kind of agree with him, but I wouldn't just stand there and not approach someone just because they were a different race, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not
I
just gonna
agree. Yeah,
say,
it's not like they're off limits because they're different pheno. What I
yeah,
think is that I think that the whole same pheno thing is a generalization.
it's
But
just,
I'll say this: I think that same pheno
it's just
is an
stupid.
advantage for ethnic guys, but for white guys, same pheno is not an advantage. That's what I'll say.
I wouldn't even say it's an advantage for ethnics either. Like, it's just really fatalistic because if someone is, I feel like this whole JBW stuff is nonsense anyway, because it's like, yeah, they get higher response rates, but I feel like Chad is its own race anyway. Like, if there's like a five foot
Did you do
seven
that
Indian
experiment
guy,
where? Sorry, did you do that experiment where you did the Asian Chad versus the white Chad, and the Asian Chad got way a few times lower results?
yeah, it did, but the point I'm trying to make is, at the same level, the white Chad will win, but if there's a choice between a white guy who's average at everything versus an Asian Chad who's maxed out, the Asian Chad will still win. But if it's the same level, then obviously I feel like the white guy has more broad appeal. But I still wouldn't think
Yeah, it's
to myself, oh, I'm not going to approach this woman because she's from a different country. Because it's like, you don't know, maybe she has a thing for you. Like, I feel like you have to delusion max sometimes. Like YBC Too Cold said. But yeah, best geomaxing destination, Poland, Bulgaria, Romania, you name it. Don't geomax. I know it's not relevant to blonde girls or anything, but if anybody thinks Japan is a good passport bro destination, it's not, because I'm half Japanese myself, and the options on the dating apps are absolutely awful, and it's just full of scammers. Oh, so I've been to many countries
I
around the
agree.
world, right? But I haven't actually been to Poland or anything, so I can't speak for sure. I've only used things like data, YouTubers, seeing like people doing Tinder experiments there, but we're only just suggesting where might be better. But I don't really think guys should be geomaxing anyway, unless they've totally like failed in their own country. I feel like looks maxing should take priority first, and like learning game and social skills. And then if you consistently still see failure after that, then maybe consider geomaxing.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so geomaxing is kind of overhyped. Like, it can help, but then what happens when you bring the girl back? Like, she's just gonna trade up and like be hypergamous once she gets her green card.
Yeah, I haven't been to Eastern Europe before, but
I did go to Korea
I think
before, but I was like 12 years old when that happened. So I can't really say that I know what the Korean dating scene is like, but I'd presume it'd be very similar to Japan. Like low birth rates, lack of traditional values, and obviously South Korea's got like hard maxing culture, like plastic surgery, so they're gonna care like a lot about looks. Obviously the K-pop
I
aesthetic.
actually I saw one video from this guy. He was like this white guy, and he was like in Japan. He was being interviewed. He was saying like, "Oh, I've been in Japan, and I heard like, oh, you'll meet a bunch of ladies in Japan." I was like, "No, I haven't met a single woman in Japan." It was like this white guy who was like a sub 5.
He was a
So like,
sub
I think
five.
that
Yeah.
Japan, yeah, it's like, but I think I would probably, if I went to Japan, I would probably do okay, I suspect, because, I'm white and I'm not a sub 5. So, but I feel like if you're white, you have low SMV, like very, noticeably low SMV, you would do good in places like the Philippines or Thailand, but not Japan. Japan is still very much like a pretty Western style dating market,
Japan is
very
very Western.
hypergamous.
Very. And I'm half Japanese and I'm half white, and I'm not a sub 5 either, so I know.
My results were good. I mean, if like there were a couple cases where I got into the "Are you single?" and they're like, "No, my boyfriend's outside." It's like, okay, thanks, nice to meet you. I'm out of here. It's very easy. You just go back to your friend, your group. You just leave. Then you find the next one that passes by, and you do it immediately. And what I noticed is when I previously gone out with friends and done sort of some of these approaches, it can be very difficult to actually stop them because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what am I going to say? Am I going to go do something direct or indirect? And with this, it's very simple. You just know exactly what you're going to say. And you can just sort of get right into the few questions. So, a couple instances where the friends sort of got in the way, and I couldn't even really go that far and escalate much. But overall, I had a great experience doing this, and I think it allowed me to almost unlock some of that more charisma you have because you're not thinking, you're not nervous. You just go in accepting the result, whether it's going to be good or bad. Because either way, it is a positive result because you're not wasting time. You're looking at the positive of each side of the equation. And I think, going forward, I think I'll continue to do this because I really don't enjoy going out and like doing some of this jester 3 to 5 minutes of small talk to have it like never really go anywhere. And that's where some of these other questions like, do you want me to stay or do you want me to go come into play? Because it's just, and here's the thing, you also have to be honest with yourself. If they say, oh, yeah, I think you're cute, this sort of happened, once where it's like, yeah, but you kind of look too young or that sort of thing. It's like, it's just not that convincing. It's like, oh, I'll talk to you later tonight. I have to get this drink right now. But it's like, no, it's not that convincing. So just leave. Like, it's very simple. If you want to go back and try later, sure, but there's no reason to like think, oh, I should really sit here and keep trying. No point. So not to drag on too much of this video, but that's what I thought of it. It allowed me to approach so many more girls in such a short, time period. And this was really my first time going out in the city and doing that sort of thing, just because I've been doing so much more online. And it made me think, okay, like this is actually good because I can get exposure to, more attractive girls. And now that I have a better idea of the best sort of venues close to where I live, it's actually pretty promising to just go and try. Because I think it's funny, because really at the end of the day, it's almost an experiment just in the way. But I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll catch you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, so we finished that video now. And before we move on to the next one, let's ask the audience for any questions.
I thought that was a good video. I think I really respect that he actually tried the strategy and didn't just say like, "Oh, this strategy's good," like based on no evidence at all. Like, you know, the subhuman Slayer I think reacted to wheat waffles and he was like, "Yeah, this is a really good strategy," but like, he didn't try it. Like
Yeah,
this guy tried it
I
and like
like the Subhuman Slayer, but
gave like more like a mixed perspective.
I feel like the Subhuman Slayer doesn't have that much exposure, I can't lie. I swear I'd love
Probably not. And
Oh, hang on, sorry. Don't you guys think that looking for traditional girls is kind of ironic, because if they are truly traditional, they wouldn't be a foreigner? What do you mean exactly? Oh, do you mean as in like because they got such traditional norms that their patriarchal parents wouldn't allow them to date outside of their own race? You mean? Because a lot of communities, like traditional communities, tend to be very ethno-nationalist. Yeah, actually, you're right. But I would only say that applies to like ultra trad. Like, we're talking ultra traditional, and I don't think I'd want to go out with someone ultra traditional because the norms would restrict you completely, and like you would have to wait until marriage, and like you would have to. It'd be so hard to divorce because the father will literally run out and chase you with a slipper or a belt. So I don't really think it's a very good idea. Yeah, exactly. Bang on, you've got it right. What are your thoughts?
yeah, don't
Jack?
go for ultra traditional. Don't go for ultra traditional girls. Yeah, don't go for, like girls from like, you know. I mean, I think a lot of the time like I think a lot of the time their families actually do want them to marry someone from the West because they'll be more like upwardly mobile, especially in places like Latin America, the Philippines. I know some places that are like very, ultra religious and like authoritarian, like
And they
certain
care about
places in the
money
Middle
too.
East. That would be a bad idea.
They'll care too much about your bank account more than your physique or your looks. And a relationship that is based on your bank account is going to fail.
Yeah.
This is why I think Andrew Tate's
What are
dating
your
advice
thoughts
is
on this
awful.
video?
It's been a pretty good video. We've actually, so far, we've been able to address our disagreements. So for the new people watching this video, could you please address what we disagreed on, so that like the new people can hear it?
Um, I should say what we disagreed on.
Yeah.
So I think what we're disagreeing on, I think we had two main points we disagreed on. Um, I'd say Shoyu and me have very similar views overall. That's why I was kind of surprising that we had some disagreements come up. But he seems to very much put an emphasis on physique and think that having a good physique will really improve your dating life. And I kind of disagree, and I said that physique is more just like a very minor thing that if you're already average, like you already have like a pretty normal body, like you're not overly skinny or like obese, that getting fit won't really transform your dating life or make a significant change. It'll just make a very small change. So those are our two perspectives. He thinks that physique very important, one of the most important things. I think it's like more of like a side thing or like a bonus, not that important. And the other thing was that I was saying that direct game is better for beginners. And he was saying that indirect was better. And I was saying that you should show that it's okay to give a girl a compliment because it's showing intent, and showing intent is important. But he said that showing intent in like in the way of giving a compliment can be kind of low status. So we had a bit of some disagreements there. But yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you
I'd
very
love to
much,
hear
B-Boy
anyone
Zam.
who's watching.
Good night, B-Boy Zam. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
So we'll
Like, if anyone has any opinions about those two things I mentioned, just leave it in the chat.
we'll move on
and we
to the
can
next
discuss
video
it.
in like 5 minutes or so. The next video we're just going to look at what we're going to react to. So we have YBC2 Cold's Cold Approach Guide, we have Face IQ's Cold Approach Guide, we have Playing with Fire's Infield. I feel like we should do Playing with Fire's Infield.
That would be a good idea, sure.
That'll give me practice anyways for what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck tomorrow, man. I hope it works out for you, and like, I'd love to hear how it goes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually going to
Some
do a
point.
video on how it went, trying out pre-selection.
Definitely watch it. I watched all your videos.
watch
Yeah, I
all
told
of
you that.
yours
But
too.
yeah, do you want to move on?
Yeah, we'll move on. So we'll do Playing with Fire next, right? Then after that, YBC or Face IQ. But if we can't do all of them today, we can do it on a different live. This one.
This video.
I need to put a like, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like his content. So we're just going to check how many people are watching the live now. Still 5 people.
4 people.
It says 5 on mine.
5.
So we'll just start this video, and anybody watching, feel free to comment your thoughts.
This video is going to be broken up into 7 easy steps designed to take you from beginner or guys who are nervous to approach to the guy who's actually able to pull girls from cold approach pickup. The first one is easy. Make yourself presentable before leaving the house. Take a look at me here, and take a look at me here 2 minutes later. There's a big difference between these two people and the kind of results you're going to get. So again, make sure that your haircut, your beard is on point, don't have any shit on your face, wear nice clothes that sit well on your body, all that kind of stuff, and make sure you set yourself up for success. Step number 2, always follow the 3-second rule.
Sorry?
So that's kind of basic advice, right? But like, you know, I think there are a lot of like black pill guys who don't have like a lot of doomer guys that like live in their mom's basement and stuff with like neck beards that don't have good fashion. So like, I feel like if a guy just like stumbles upon this video, I think that's good advice. Yeah, just make sure that you don't have like terrible fitting clothes or just terrible
Yeah,
grooming.
you need to
But
wear
that's
good
like
fitting
common sense for
clothes,
most of us.
look presentable, make sure that you're just at your best possible shape.
Means when you see an attractive girl, don't start thinking about it and rationalizing it. Just go out and approach her within the first 3 seconds. That's going to lower your anxiety. That's going to increase the amount of girls you approach, and it's also going to increase your overall confidence.
Hi, I like your blue jumpsuit. It looks very jumpy. What's your name? Manuel. Like, you like a real handshake. This is just like kind of like a peasant handshake. What are you up to, Manuel?
Step number 3, following the 3-second rule, go up and approach a girl and give her a genuine compliment.
Ooh, he's siding with you. Ooh.
Yeah, it might just be my influence from him, I guess, coming through. But yeah.
I'll show you, my influence comes from Austin Dunham.
Again, this shouldn't be something like, oh my god, those suits are amazing. Well, that's probably better than doing nothing. But just find something unique, something interesting about her. It could be even something that's
It's
sarcastic,
amazing.
where you're just making a joke. And just open it up with a genuine compliment. And that's it. That's all you have to do for this step. So you completely take all the pressure off yourself to do anything else.
I figured you were like European, Eastern European, no?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. But you have very blue eyes.
Thank you. Should I use it?
Step 4. Once again, go up to a girl and give her a genuine compliment, but this time you're going to also ask her 2 questions. Ideally, this would be interesting questions, but if you can't come up with anything, you can ask her super boring questions like, where are you from? What are you doing? What are you up to tonight? Ask her questions like that. The whole goal is to get you desensitized talking to attractive girls on the street.
I know it's super random, but I like your cat burglar outfit. My dog was like, I gotta eat this chicken all black, you know, type of thing.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Wait, stop for like 30 seconds, because I can't kill that one, because I gotta go home. What's your name?
Lauren.
Lauren, cool. Nice to meet you. Oh, you just gave me such a peasant handshake.
Sorry.
This is like what a fucking queen does to like peasants.
Sorry. No.
I feel so displeased.
I'm so sorry. Oh,
Be careful.
sorry.
Step number 5, cold approach a girl, and you can open her any way you want as long as you're following the 3-second rule. What you're going to do is you're going to keep the conversation going for at least a minute, and then you're also going to tease her at least once throughout the interaction, and that's going to help you build attraction.
Hi, ladies. I like your outfits. You got like the black, and you got the 2 angels over here.
Thank you.
So you're the bad one in the group?
No, I'm the angel.
I'm the good one. Yeah. These are the bad ones.
No, it's
Everyone's good. Just a good group of girls. Where are you from?
Colombia.
Ah, cool. What part?
Cali.
Cali. Say Cayena.
Caleña.
Yeah. I've been to Cali.
Yes?
Yeah. Where or when? It was 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. You gotta really get his attention though. You gotta stare him in the eyes. I like it. You're like a little shy.
Step number 6, you can also once again open the girl in any way you want as long as you're following the 3-second rule. But this time, in addition to teasing her at least once, you're also going to ask her a phone number. Even if you think the conversation isn't going well, even if you think she's not into, it doesn't hurt for you to be like, hey, listen, let me get your number so we can hang out sometime. And just give her your phone. And you'd be surprised how many girls are going to be like, yeah, sure, why not?
I like your grocery bag. I like your grocery bag. It looks like you just got back from Publix.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven. Okay, not at school, but almost at school. What's your background? You look like you're Filipina, Thai? Thai. Nailed it. Can you guess where I'm from?
Wait, are you still there?
Yeah, of course.
You're very close. I'm from Russia.
Could you pause the
fighting
video?
Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on like what you said for like the past couple of minutes?
I mean, I do understand the way that he does things, and you know he's got the success on his belt, so I can see the logic. But I thought the approach where he went up to the two girls, the one that was hiding behind, the choosing signals were not that high, as you could see. But then again, he does have a lot of success because he's tried a lot of times. But I just think that there's a fine line between the type of dating coaches I watch typically aren't doing street approaches, but playing with fire obviously does. So I feel like our influences are different, so that's why obviously we disagree on a couple of things. Well, because you tend to focus more on direct game, whereas I focus on indirect game. But I feel like I respect both angles because both of them obviously do yield good results. But what are your thoughts?
I think what Alex playing with fire says is that you should start out with direct and like as a beginner, because the biggest mistake that beginners make is not showing intent. Would you agree with that?
I would say that the biggest mistake that beginners make is over validating too early rather than not showing intent. I think that most people show intent in the wrong way because throughout our lives most people believe that they're supposed to say, oh hey, excuse me, I saw you over there and I thought you were beautiful. But that's definitely not a very good opener. So if anything, I think
it's a decent opener. I mean, I think it's good for people that are just starting out, because they have to like cut through like the anxiety and just say something that will get like the conversation in like a romantic frame.
But I feel like they already know it's a romantic frame. What I would personally do is, I would just turn up to the nearest event by your house. Let's say the nearest thing, the nearest pub, the nearest bar, the nearest whatever it is, right? And then just ask her if she's enjoying the night and start a conversation from there, and then start flirting from that point.
Yeah, but someone like me, it's like I like whenever I just start a casual conversation with a woman, it just stays casual.
But
Like maybe you're not like that, but for me, it's like I don't know, it just doesn't work like that. I mean, do you think that both approaches could be good for different people? Maybe.
yeah, but the thing is, when it stays casual, what do you mean by that? Because in my case, I did an instant date. Remember, I got an instant date doing
it's
that
more-
method on the spot.
It's more just like you continue the kind of small talk, and then it just doesn't really go anywhere, and the conversation just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah,
And then
that's
I just
usually
leave.
because they're not that attractive. Unfortunately, that's the reason. Because when they're attracted to
Like,
you,
couldn't
they will continue the convo.
Yeah, but if they're attracted to you, wouldn't they respond well to you giving like a genuine compliment?
Maybe. To be fair,
Yeah, I guess we could just agree to
I
disagree.
will agree to disagree. I don't personally think it's the best move, but maybe you think it is. I don't know. It's okay to be curious, but I just don't think saying, excuse me, I thought it'd be a great... I just saw you from across the road, and I thought you were beautiful. I just don't think that's a really good thing to say.
Have you done approaches like that before?
When I was in school, yeah, because my game has always been like smooth and indirect. And then I got rejected. I remember I sent this girl a text and I was like, oh, you're so... Actually, you know what? I'm going to load up some chats with girls and I'm going to analyse what I did wrong and why I got rejected. Thoughts? Do you think it's good to check why you got rejected? Hello?
Wait, are you gonna send me some screenshots or something
Yeah. So I was going to show you
on
my...
Instagram?
Yeah, I'll show you what negative Riz looks like. What are your thoughts on the red pill guys who always say that you have to protect and provide? What's your opinion on that?
I think protecting and providing isn't going to make a woman more attracted. Well, I think that protecting and providing isn't going to get a woman interested in you,
I agree.
who's not already interested in you.
I
Like
agree.
protecting and providing will help maintain a long-term relationship, but it won't like get you more women to say like, "Oh, I'm a provider, I'm a protector." It's like they don't care.
Yeah,
You know?
they don't want to care. I think it's mostly coat. Because I noticed a lot of them talk about you having to be this muscle protector.
Yeah.
It's just so funny when people say that.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the negative reason. I still regret rejecting this girl. Bro, my
You?
standards were too high.
You rejected her?
From like
Wait,
2 years
let me
ago.
see.
Wait,
I can't see it. Wait, you didn't send me any
no, I'm
pictures.
still looking for it. That's why.
Oh, but you know this guy. You know I uploaded like a reel that was like a clip from like what like our like conversation from like April or whatever, and like this guy like in the UK like messaged me. He was like, "Are you from the UK?" Like he thought it was my account. Like I tagged you in the video, but like he was looking for guys to do like day game with, but like
Oh,
he thought I
yeah,
was in
you were
the
in
UK.
America. 'Cause you're
I
in
just
America.
yeah. So I guess I told him I just gave him your ad. I don't know if you'd want to do gay game with him or something, but.
No, I will. I'd happily do it.
Yeah, this guy named well, I'm not gonna dox him, whatever.
No, don't dox him.
This
Just
guy named
don't dox him.
this guy named Neil.
Just
I'm
send
not gonna
it
give
to
him his last name. This guy named
Just send it me and then I'll judge.
I think I gave him your at, so I think he's gonna message you at some point. Wait. Yeah. Wait, it's taking a while to find the picture. Is it from like a while back?
Yeah, it's from a while back.
Alright, do you wanna just play the video in the meantime?
Yeah.
Hello. It's the same country, technically.
Same shit. We speak the same language.
Oh, so cute.
I know. So what are you doing? You're visiting?
I'm just with a friend.
How long are you here for?
I was about to last Thursday.
And when do you leave? Tomorrow?
Come back soon.
Okay. You promise? You got pinky promise that you'll come back soon.
I like it here, so yeah.
Because I want to grab a drink with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me get your WhatsApp. We can stay in touch until you come back.
Yeah, I have to head back to
Oh, that's where you're originally from? Oh, I thought you were like going back to Thailand.
No.
Small world. Alex, nice to meet you. I'll see you later.
And final step, lucky number 7. You're going to follow all the principles we've taught you so far. You're going to approach the girl in the first 3 seconds. If you're not sure how to open her, you can start with a genuine compliment. You're going to tease her a little bit. You're going to ask her some questions. But this time, before getting her phone number, you're going to soft close her. So this might look like something like, hey, you and I should grab a drink sometime soon. Or we should get together sometime soon. And once you reach to that, then you go for the phone number. And you do this to make all those numbers you're going to get a lot more solid and actually increase your chances of getting the real date.
Hi, excuse me. My dog just wanted me to wait for you to cross the road so you can say hi to you. You see like your blue outfit.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm Alex.
I'm Krista.
Nice to meet you. You have a very exotic look. Where are you from?
I'm like a quarter Hispanic.
Quarter Spanish. I figured you were like European, Eastern European, no?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. But you have very blue eyes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You too.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm from Europe, so I.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Belarus.
Oh,
You know what that is?
I
Yeah, you're in the right place. Are you like a Midwestern girl who moved out to Miami? Or?
No, from New York. I just
Okay.
moved here like a year ago.
Cool. I grew up in Jersey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What part?
You know where Paramus is?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I went to middle school, high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do you move out here for? Just better weather?
School. Med school.
Ah, a future doctor.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So when I get like injured and shit, you can treat me for free
Yeah.
with my health insurance and whatnot.
Yeah.
You have good eye contact.
Thanks.
Not a lot of people do nowadays.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you. I really like your dog.
Yeah. He's awesome.
Yeah. What's his name?
Rhaegar.
Rhaegar?
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you live in Vertical?
Yeah.
Cool. Me too. We should grab a drink sometime.
Okay. Sounds
Do you have I'm sure you do have a phone number.
good.
This?
On your shirt.
Oh, just some shit. It's a pin.
What's your name? Sorry.
Alex.
Alex.
Nice to meet you. I'll text you.
And honestly, that's about it. Now, of course, there's a lot more advanced stuff that you can learn down the line, but if you can follow these 7 steps consistently, you're going to start meeting girls and also having sex with girls just from cold approach pickup. Now, in addition to that, if you want to meet girls from online dating apps, then make sure you get our free Tinder guide. We're going to show you how to get good photos. You're going to get girls to match with you so you can finally start getting a lot of leads in your funnel. We're going to show you how to write the kind of bio that makes you stand out and actually get girls to message you first, and also text game, the thing you need to take all those matches you're going to get and convert them into dates. Best of all, it's free. Link in the description. Thank you guys, and until next time.
Right, so what are your thoughts?
Alright,
on
so that was a good video. I think that was like, playing with fire. This was more of like a basic video. Like he probably goes more in depth. He goes more in depth on like his live streams or or on his course. I haven't taken his course, but like I assume he definitely goes more in depth. But like yeah, that's a good like basic guide for guys that are like pretty lost about this stuff. I think that was like, if I was gonna, introduce someone to cold approach, I think this would be a good video to show them. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And I would say that.
Yeah, so I love PWF.
Yeah, because most of the game is just social calibration in the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait. Sorry. If I was to ask you, what do you consider as game? So, to you, how would you define game to someone who doesn't know what it is?
Your ability to pull a woman, using using what you say and your body language.
Yeah, good definition. So what video do you want us to cover next? Feel like we've lost a bit.
The YBC one.
Alright, let's look at that.
Awesome viewers.
Yeah. Yeah, and after this one we'll finish. And we'll do Face IQ next time because I feel like we're not getting that many viewers now.
Yeah. Actually, wait, there's one more viewer. It's 3 now.
Oh, no, so maybe we can do Face IQ as well. But I feel like
Let's
we can do
compare
that
two
one
different
separately.
approaches for how we might talk to or prompt these models. You could write a very simple prompt, like
I think viewers is gonna increase now, I think.
Yeah, because
Now that we're watching YBC.
He's introverted, he's not very social.
start from the beginning.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the full cold approach guide for beginners and introverts. This is for people who've either never done a cold approach in their lives or have done a couple cold approaches but haven't really gotten results out of it, okay? So if you consider yourself intermediate or advanced, this video is probably going to be very basic to you. But if you're somebody who's new to cold approaching, who's just getting started, then this video is going to work wonders. And I'm actually going to be showing you the exact blueprint that I use and guys in my community use to get the best possible results. I've personally done hundreds of approaches in my life, and the guys who I help in my community get great results. As you can see here, somebody said, went on my first date from a cold approach today. I've done roughly 60 daytime cold approaches at this point. The stuff YBC teaches you definitely works. And inside my community, I also do monthly challenges where I literally give you money for approaching. So it doesn't get better than that. If you want to check it out, you can. If not, no pressure at all. Let's get into the system itself, right? So we want to take somebody who's never done an approach in his life. Okay, we're going to assume that he's introverted, he's not very social, and he's afraid of talking to women. The first thing that we have to do is we have to overcome this person's limiting beliefs. Because at this point, this person's probably asking autistic questions on Black Pill forums like, guys, can an LTN pull an HDB or is that impossible? Like, just dumb shit like that. So we're going to have to address some limiting beliefs. We're going to have to help reframe those limiting beliefs so that he's actually properly wired to do the approaches. Next up, we have to desensitize him to women and to cold approaching, right? Because a lot of guys are afraid of rejection, they're extremely nervous, and what this will do is sort of put a wall on your personality. You're not going to be able to express yourself, you're going to be too stuck in your head, and the goal here is to slowly desensitize you to make talking to random girls a very normal thing, to where you're not shitting yourself before you do it. And then next, we're going to do some behavioral programming, aka game and social skills. This is going to exponentially improve your percentages and your results. And then we're going to talk about volume and how to maximize your volume. And then obviously there's going to be some reflection at the end, because some people are going to follow this blueprint and they're not going to get the best results. And there's obviously many factors at play other than your game and other than your exposure. This should go without saying, because I know a ton of people are going to comment something to do with looks. Oh, this won't work if you're good looking, if you're Chad, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, work on your looks the entire time. Nobody is denying that looks matter.
Could you pause it?
Past that,
Yeah.
like,
What are your thoughts?
So I think the work on looks the entire time. That's good advice. Didn't you say like you should talk to women and you should work on your looks at the same time,
Yes,
right? Didn't you say that?
Don't wait until you're jacked to talk. Like, you should still talk before you're jacked. But I would say that you should work on your looks the entire time, yeah. And there's one bit of advice I'm going to disagree with, but I'm going to save that until the end. Because I feel like the best always has to be saved till last.
Yeah, you know, what people don't talk about is that, like, talking to women is its own form of self-improvement. Talking to women and cold approaching is self-improvement,
I
you know?
agree. Like, Hamza literally says you should work on talking to women before you start money maxing or business maxing.
you guys.
I'm surprised he said that. Most red pill guys, it seems like, don't say that. Most of them say, like, you know, you chase success and then women will come, which is just terrible
This
advice.
is just stupid advice. Like, I feel like Hamza's a really good creator though, because he actually understands it. Like, he has the looks. Like, many black pillars will say that he's unattractive, but just the people, to anybody that says that, right? Hamza is 10 times more attractive than we. Let's be honest. Like, literally, like, who do you picture pulling more girls? Let's be realistic.
Like Hamza or like a black pillar?
Or wheat. Let's just be genuinely honest here.
I'm not sure, honestly. I think, you know, honestly, probably wheat waffles, maybe.
You're joking, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like curry tax is just a little too strong. I don't know.
No, but like, look, right, think about it. The whole problem I have with a lot of this black pill stuff, like YBC2 Cold just said, is that everyone's saying, bro's an LTN, bro's an HTB, but like, most people don't say this shit, and you have to actually question the community sometimes, because think like, okay, Hamza's social skills are better, he's in better shape, he's taller, and face card is probably about the same. So I would say that Hamza would do a lot better because his social skills and game are like way better. His physique is better. Phenotax, maybe, but I just don't think it's as big as like you think it is, because you said, curry sells. That phrase makes me laugh, but
Yeah.
I just don't think it's that deep. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm actually quite shocked that it took you ages to answer, because I thought there was such an easy answer to it. Because I remember Wheat thought it was him. We thought that he was higher value than Hamza.
Which one do I think actually pulls more girls? I'd say probably Hamza does.
Yeah,
Like,
because he's
I guess there's a conversation to be had about quality, I guess. Like, I don't know what kind of women Hamza is pulling.
I would still say Hamza though.
Probably a lot more DG women. A lot more DGs.
I think DG, UG is bullshit. There's no such thing. Like, UGs will still come to your house on the first date. Like, I just think it's a bullshit theory. Because
I don't know.
I mean, there's
we'll
no
have to
such
see.
thing. Like, they're the same thing. Like, appearance doesn't really tell you
We're
what
not-
they're gonna do.
Well, they're not the same thing, but like I guess like you could say it's more flexible than you would make it out to be. I think they're definitely a real thing. I think.
No, but
Like I guess we should just continue with the video.
yeah, continue. I think they are different, but I don't think DGs are easier to pull, because I would argue that you can still pull a UG on the first date, and I'd argue that it might actually be easier because DGs prioritize chats.
Yeah.
Same shit all the time. Like, I guarantee you, top comment's gonna have something to do with looks, right? And it's like, dude, okay, yeah, we get it. Just improve your looks passively. This is like a self-improvement thing that you should be doing in the back end. This video is specifically about how to cold approach and how to get the most out of cold approaching. And trust me when I say there is much more to this than looks. So don't be that one guy who just makes everything about face and height, because you're autistic and you're probably never gonna get results with women. I'm just being honest with you. But if you insist on doing it, do it. Anyways, you boost my engagement, I win. So do whatever you want. But yeah, let's get started. So the first thing that we have to do is address limiting beliefs here, right? So here are a couple limiting beliefs that are gonna go through your head before you actually do your first approach. The first thing you might be thinking is, well, what if I get labeled as a creep? The second thing is maybe you think that you're not tall or good looking enough to start cold approaching. Maybe some black pillar on a forum told you that if you're not an HTN or higher, you're finished. Another limiting belief you have is that women don't want to be bothered. You know, they don't want to be approached. They just want to be left to do their own thing. You know, maybe you think that you'll end up being a nuisance, you'll end up annoying her, or maybe you just think that you're going to get rejected no matter what you do. So what we have to do is reframe these beliefs, because let me tell you guys, right? All of the things that you fear are simply in your head. They are fears. And I'm not going to say that these things can't happen, because the truth is you can get labeled as a creep. You can get rejected. In fact, you're likely to get rejected. But my question to you is, who cares? Literally, who cares? A lot of you guys are too sensitized to women and how they respond, and you internalize things when you don't have a big enough sample size to do so. So it's like, okay, what if I get labeled as a creep? I've been labeled as a creep before, yet I'm still alive, and you guys don't see me behind bars right now. So I live to approach another day.
Yeah, he's right. You have to eliminate this mentality that they don't want to be approached, because by you thinking that, you throw leads out the window. But I still think that the pre-selection playbook is a lot better than random approaches on the street and just standing there like a salesman handing out leaflets. But we'll have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. I feel like a lot of people who are new and don't have many reps in cold approaching are just living in a state of fear. They're just scared. This is all this is, guys. You're just afraid. And listen, it's okay. It's primal. It's a natural response to be afraid. But the more exposure you get and the more experience you get, the less afraid you're gonna be. The less these things are gonna matter to you. Like, dude, I've been called a creep a couple times in the past. It doesn't happen often, but yeah, it can happen. I don't even remember these girls' names. So it's like, dude, who cares, right? Oh, I've gotten rejected, big deal. Oh, my feelings are gonna get hurt. It's like, a lot of black pillars are just too emotional and too sensitive, and they make up concepts like, oh, you're forming trauma, man. Okay, if you do 50 approaches and you get rejected in all 50, you're forming trauma. most people aren't going to be farming trauma. Most people are going to see success in between, which is actually going to motivate them to keep doing it, right? It's like you need to reframe this. You need to start thinking as, who cares what a stranger labels me as? I'm probably never going to see this girl again. If a girl rejects you, you can say, okay, this girl didn't find me attractive, but there are more women out there who find me attractive, right? Most of you guys, there are women out there who find you attractive. You're not sub 3s, and chances are, statistically, you're probably in the 5 to 6 range. So you have to have this mindset that it's okay if you approach, that women will actually be thrilled when you approach them, that you bring good energy to the conversation, and that you're not doing anything wrong, and that if you get rejected, who cares, right? That's the kind of frame that I want you guys to have. And like, of course, when you're new and you're a beginner, everything's gonna feel intimidating and scary, but I promise you guys, get some reps in and you will realize that like, you're gonna stop caring about all of this shit so quickly. I actually feel bad for people who are stuck in this mindset because it kind of screams inexperience, bro. It either screams inexperience or it screams too much bad experience, which we're gonna get to. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna address what to do if bad things happen to you often when you cold approach. But for majority of cases, that's just not gonna be the case, okay? So I want you to reframe all of these shitty negative beliefs, get them out of your head, and let's move on. Next step, we have desensitization. You're scared to approach, you don't know what to say, you've never done it before. There is a cold approach ladder that I want you to climb.
Wait, could you pause?
Sorry, yeah. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think that mindset is definitely very important. You know, having a bad mindset is gonna hurt you more than pretty much anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I feel like having a bad mindset, it almost kills your success because you have to actually believe that you have the ability to make a woman's day. Because if you are having a negative mentality and you believe that every woman that you approach is going to be repulsed by you, then you're going to confirm your very worst fear.
Similar to the gym, you know, you can't bench 225 your first time at the gym. You want to progressively overload to higher levels. Think of your social skills kind of like a muscle, right? And the more momentum you have, the more that you socialize, the easier it's going to be to socialize. So what we actually want to do is take you from a low pressure to a high pressure situation through warming up, right? So for example, and the way I like to see this is through a hierarchy of nerves, right? Your level of nervousness is going to depend on the situation. If you're talking to close friends and family, chances are you won't be nervous. You'll easily be able to be yourself because like they're close friends, they're family, you trust them. It's not intimidating at all. Complimenting a stranger, again, an old man walking down the street, are you gonna be afraid to compliment him? Pretty easy to do, right? Conversation with a stranger. Now, a lot of people have anxiety when it comes to conversations, but who said that you have to go and talk to the girl you like right away? You can talk to your Uber driver when you're in the car. You can make small talk with the grocery clerk. You can talk to security in your building. You can just have conversations with people in general, right? This is also going to train your social muscle and get you used to talking to people. That's the idea here. Asking a woman for directions, again, low pressure. You're not going for the number. You're not doing anything crazy. You're just going up to a girl and saying, hey, do you know where the nearest Starbucks is? Low pressure, easy to do. Complimenting a woman. Now, this is obviously the next level. You go up to a girl, you drop her a compliment, and you walk off. You're not asking for an outcome. You're not asking for a number. Conversations with a woman, again, 2 to 3 minute interaction. You go up to her, you open, you say a couple of things, but you leave without trying to get the number or the IG. I find that the highest nerves and pressure comes before you ask for the number because this is an outcome, right? You're expecting her to either.
I've never felt super nervous about asking for the Instagram. I feel the most scary part is before the actual approach.
Yeah, I agree that the approaching, like the approaching is the hardest part. Starting conversation is the hardest. I think that I still think that asking for the number is it's the second scariest part. I feel like, and I think that
so, because
like,
I'll tell you why. I don't think getting a number from a girl means anything, if I'm being honest with you.
I mean, on its own it doesn't, but like the thing is, if you don't get a number, then like you automatically fail. That's the thing. So like,
right.
if you don't ask for the number, then like you're already like letting yourself fail. So like you should just ask for the number and give yourself at least a chance to win. You know what I mean?
But everybody asks for the number pretty much because asking for the number is not that difficult. Because
I think a lot of people don't.
But how you ask doesn't really matter because if we're being honest with you, if you're mentally masturbating about, oh, how do I phrase it? it doesn't matter. Like, if you're having a good conversation, just say something like, "Oh, we should keep in touch. What's your Instagram or what's your number?" Right? Or you could say yours, but I genuinely think that it really isn't that complicated, because I feel like the hardest part is actually talking to her. That's the hardest part, because talking to her is always going to be more difficult than anything else. Once you open your mouth, that's the hard bit done, because I've found that the things that people struggle with the most is talking to women at all. But once you start talking to her and you start getting in a flow state, she will actually end up being receptive. But if she's not receptive, it hurts for a couple of minutes, and then you forget about it for the rest of the day. But always remember that rejection is better than regret.
But you know, there are some people that are scared of asking for the number. You know, I'm going out and cold approaching with this guy, and I noticed that like 95% of the time he doesn't ask for the number, you know?
Well,
And that's a mistake, but like, there are a lot of people that are just scared to ask for the number, you know?
Maybe you're right. I've never had that fear personally, but I've always found that let me think of all the approaches that I've done. I only think you'd ever be scared of asking for the number if the choosing signals were low. And in that case, then I don't really blame them, because while obviously asking for a number is important because you need something to happen, if the choosing signals were like low, I'm talking like C tier or D tier, then whether you ask for the number or not, it probably would have just ended up leading to nothing. But I agree in the sense that if you don't get the number to begin with, nothing is going to happen. But I just don't really see it as that big of a milestone, because I think if you can see that the choosing signals are strong, all you have to do is act on them. And then obviously you're going to ask.
Yeah, but like, I feel like I've had some situations where I've gotten choosing signals and I've just been too scared to ask for the number.
Maybe you have, and obviously we are different, but I'm just saying that it's not really a problem that I've ever encountered. Although I will say there's one time I didn't, and do you want me to tell you what happened?
What happened?
Some tea for the viewers, right? So, about a year and a half ago, when I just landed in Japan, I was in my local gym, right? That has like an ice skate rink. And I cold approached this girl who sat on the bench, and we had a really good chat, and she seemed really high interest. She was smiling at me and everything. But then I asked her for her age, right? And she said, oh, she was 16. So I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. So I just didn't ask for the number, right? Even though she looked a lot older, I was like, okay, look, I need to back away now, right? Because I was not going to risk my reputation. Then after that, I saw her walking with another man. And I was thinking, oh shit, is he going to start maid guarding? And I was like, this is the exact problem with cold approach that I have. And then like a couple weeks later, I went to this place called Shibuya, right? Shibuya, I only said it in the English accent so that like you would understand. And there was a couple of girls in makeup, like these gyaru makeup. And then I remember I was about to approach this girl who was stood outside the toilet. But I realised, oh shit, hang on, she was taken. And then the man started walking her down, and I was like, thank God I didn't do it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? That happened like 3 times in a row.
I think that those situations really, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. Most guys are kind of beta. They're not gonna, you know, like try to fight you if you talk to their girl.
No,
and honestly, if they do, they're also kind of pathetic.
I would argue you're a beta if you try and attack a guy for talking to your girl, because it shows you're insecure. Like, if your girl is that into you, she's just gonna shut him down anyway. Because beta males are actually scary, like, some guys might actually try and chase you down. So I would argue, no, you're wrong actually. The betas are the ones that make guard, not the alphas. The alphas just, like, watch the girl, and then if the girl starts flirting back, he just dumps her and that's it. Or he gives her a caution. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think like it depends on how you decide who's alpha or not. But like,
But alphas
I don't know.
don't
I feel
make
like the
guard.
toxically masculine thing is to make guard. Like the toxic masculinity, they will make guard in
Yeah, but
that
they're
way.
still betas though. They just act alpha, but they're not actually alphas. Because Hamza literally says, "Don't make guard." Like, you just watch how she responds, and if she's receptive to other men, then that tells you like where her priorities stand. So, I would argue that you're saying that it's not a big deal, but I think it is because it could have just led to like complications. Because if I went up and talked to that girl, right, and then I saw this like toxically masculine, like estrogen filled beta male, and he started like shouting at me and like getting all aggressive. It's just like, I don't know if that's really a good idea, but I understand what you're saying. Like, maybe you would have risked it, I don't know, but after this video I have another hot take and then we can wrap up.
Say yes or no, and her answer is probably going to have an effect on your emotions. Whereas if you just have a conversation without trying to get the number, there's going to be a lot less pressure around the interaction. And then the next step after that is to have a conversation with a woman and then actually get her number or her Instagram, right? So you're used to having conversations, you just need to add that last part in. By this point, you'll have developed your social muscle enough to where this won't feel so bad. Notice how we're taking it piece by piece, one step at a time. And then after that, if you want, you can even start going for group approaches. And the highest level of nerves is opening groups of women with guys in that group, okay? So this is the hierarchy of nerves. You want to gradually progress it, all right? So do every step until you stop feeling nervous, until it feels comfortable, and then move on to the next one. And if you want a specific system to warm up, a specific routine to do, then you could always check out my community. I can help you there. Let's move on. Next up, we have behavioral programming, which is your game and your social skills. Now, if you are a beginner, right, and you haven't done at least 10 approaches in your life, forget about game, forget about the techniques, forget about
wait,
what
he
should I
agrees
say
with
when she
me.
says this, what should I do?
Yeah, he says don't focus on game or technique. Start with direct openers. Look, you have to remember that no two creators are going to agree on everything. And I think we have to just accept our differences because he says that it should be direct. I argue otherwise, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Just desensitize yourself to approaches and get some reps in, okay? Because a lot of beginners are watching all these videos on theory and trying to memorize all this information. That's just going to confuse you further, okay? Right now, your goal is to just do it. Just get out there, leave your house, and do some approaches. So what I want you to do is start with direct openers if you're a beginner. Pick one of these lines that I'm about to show you and just memorize it. What this is going to do is it's going to reduce your decision fatigue and
Yeah, this one is the best. But I would argue that I don't really
You
like
seem interested.
street approaches, but I'll talk about that at the end.
that's going to reduce your anxiety before you open a girl because you already know what you're going to say. Part of the anxiety comes from not knowing what you're going to say. Oh my God, I have to talk to this girl. I don't know what to tell her. Memorize one of these openers. Hey, excuse me, I saw you from over there and I thought you were cute. What's your name? You seem interesting. What's your name? Hey, I like the vibe of your outfit. Very simple, very easy. Steal one of these lines and just rinse and repeat at least 10 times, okay? So if you're a beginner, don't think about game, don't think about anything right now except getting a couple reps in, okay? And don't even go in with an outcome, guys. Don't expect anything. Don't be like, I need to get numbers or else I won't feel worthy inside. It's like, dude, these girls are strangers. Who gives a fuck, right? All right, simple framework for beginners. What you want to do is open direct with one of these lines that I just gave you. Have a basic 2 to 3 minute conversation. And then at the end of that conversation, whenever you feel like ending it, say, well, anyways, I gotta go, but you're fun. Let me grab your number before I leave. It doesn't get simpler than this, guys. I really cannot make it simpler than this, okay? So if you're a beginner, this is all you have to do. Do this around 10 times. After 10 approaches, then we can start talking game. Then we can start talking about how do I increase my percentages, what do I do to come off as more attractive, etc. I'm not going to go into each specific one in detail because I already have extensive information on that in my school and I might make videos on these in the future, but things like opening indirect, extending the conversation longer, false time constraints, teasing, escalating, going on Insta dates, frame, push-pull, group approaches, body language, eye contact, vocal tone, all of these things matter.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, he says that you should open indirect, but that's gonna be later down the line. So like I agree with that. Once you're good at game, yeah, you can open in direct, but once you're starting out, I think direct is better. But I agree with him on that.
But I feel like
But yeah,
we're
I'm not gonna debate that.
I feel like we are just at I feel like we are at the beginning. Now obviously I've had, because I'm like 3 years old, I'm 22 or 19, so obviously I might have more experience, but you have more experience than I did when I was 19. So I feel like you are on track to be more advanced than I am, for sure. Like when you become 22, you're definitely going to understand game a lot more than I do.
I hope so. Yeah.
And I was actually going to say, right, before we go on to the next part, is there any point that you want to address quickly, or do you want me to move on to the next part?
Let me see. Let me just read real quick. Okay. Yeah, how long do you think that cold approaches should go on for?
5 minutes?
Yeah, here it says 2 to 3 minutes is like the basic, and then like after that 10 to 15. I feel like 10 to 15 is too long. At that point, you're dragging it.
Because then you'll kill the tension, unless you want an instant date.
Yeah, I'd say like under 5 minutes. Like I'd say like 2 to 5 minutes is ideal. I think.
Yeah, because like, unless it's an instant date, you don't want the approach to go on too long.
Oh yeah, there's one more thing. You should be the one to end the interaction. She shouldn't be the one. That sets a better frame when you're the first one to leave.
100%, I think you should. 100%, you should be the one to end the interaction. You should be the one to end the date, because you set the masculine frame, right?
Yeah.
All of these things can be calibrated to the degree where you're actually getting much better results, and your results fucking skyrocket through the roof. If you don't believe these things work, I mean, more for the rest of us. I don't really care. All right, next up, let's talk about volume. So I'm sure you guys can agree that, a couple approaches isn't a big enough sample size to draw any conclusions. You need to actually shoot some volume to be able to discern what your attractiveness level is and how much success you're actually getting. Like a lot of guys will do 2 approaches, get rejected twice, and then think it's over and that they're not good looking and end up on BP forums. Like, no, dude, do at least, and I'm saying at the very least, 20 approaches before you draw any conclusions. So in my experience with dealing with hundreds of guys and talking to a lot of guys who do.
Yeah.
That's really good advice. Do at least 20 before you draw any conclusions. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like you need to get the volume in before you can say anything. It's like, you could, if you're just doing like what, 3 or 4 approaches, like that doesn't really tell you anything. It could just be like you just got unlucky. And also when you're starting out, your game is going to be, a lot worse. So, like your first few approaches are probably going to be pretty uncalibrated, but like once you go further along, you're going to get a lot better. Everyone that starts out with game is bad at game.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say this, because I'm going to make some truth bombs, because I think while obviously we have a good relationship in this dating space, I feel like this is the first podcast where we've actually disagreed a lot. Because I feel like most podcasts, like, we're on the same page. But I feel like this is the first time that we're actually challenging each other, and I think it's a really good thing, because it goes to show that game is very broad. Do you want me to say my hot take?
Yeah. What's your hot take?
Well, my hot take, as you might be able to understand, is that there are a lot of problems with the traditional cold approach method, even though I think it can be good for confidence. So I wanted to ask, how many times have you approached a woman? So bars, clubs, streets, like how many do you reckon you've done in your life, prox?
I've done probably let me think. I've done 10, I think.
10. I've done about 20.
Yeah, so I'd say we're both beginners, but you're a bit further along than me, I think.
And how many dates did you get?
I haven't gotten any dates so far.
On Hinge you did.
Yeah, on Hinge I did, but not from Cold Approach.
For me, I've done 2 dates from Cold Approach. Well, 3 technically, because one of them was a second date as well. And I was going to ask you about the dating app dates, right? What happened to that girl that we were talking about, like, last month?
Oh, you mean the one? Yeah, I was thinking. So I saw her again, and then I moved. Oh yeah, like I kind of had a similar situation to where, to what you did. It was like this girl insisted, like the first date, she brought her sister,
Yeah,
right?
this is a
And
terrible,
it was like,
terrible idea. Like, you should never allow that.
yeah, it was like I was already basically there, and like her sister was there. And I guess I allowed it because I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna continue.
That situation.
And it was like.
Where I
But the thing is, I think the second time I went on a second date with her. But the thing is, she told me that she wants her dad makes her bring someone with her to make sure that we're not getting up to bad things.
Yeah, well,
She has a very overprotective dad.
First of all, that's a red flag. You shouldn't be going out with a girl like that anyway. Because the dad will just make your life hell. Secondly, maybe she just made an excuse, right? Because I can guarantee that, I don't know her situation, but most girls would not require you to do that. Actually though, that being said, I do know this celebrity in Japan, right? This woman, this gyaru icon called Yu Chami, and her mum literally vets male partners, and like every guy that wants to date her has to interview her mum. So maybe it's a rare case that not even Chad can break the rules, because I feel like the Black Pill is obsessed with this mythical Chad that can just break every rule, but in reality there's rules for Chads as well. So maybe it's just a case where like the father is like really overprotective, but I personally just wouldn't want you to go through that. But then again, it's your choice. Like, I don't know the situation, but what are your thoughts on what I said?
You know what I'm gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say I agree that the dynamic isn't the best, but you know what? It's like I just need more experience, you know?
No.
And it's like if I could learn more about like just like talking to women by being with one up close, then to me that's worth it, you know? I know that's not the best dynamic, but like I'm talking to other women, you know?
No, I'm not telling you not to go on a date or anything. You should continue the interaction, but just don't commit to somebody who demands that. You see what I mean? You can if you want, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's just my recommendation. But I was gonna give my hot take about this cold approach stuff. So you see how YBC2 Cold said that you should go on one date every 10 approaches. 20
I think he said
approaches.
every 20 approaches.
20, I mean. Do you want to know my issue with this?
What?
It gets transactional and becomes like a conveyor belt when you do it this way, because I did 20 cold approaches and I went on 2 dates, and I've been on like dates with 5 different girls from dating apps. But I will say that it does get tiring when you constantly go on dates with girls that aren't like high interest, and the cycle of constantly doing that non-stop, it just gets really like I don't know, it gets really tiring, it gets really like boring, it gets like stressful. So that's why I prefer pre-selection, because you are able to go back to the same venue over and over and establish like status and game. But if you're constantly taking girls out to new places, constantly having to plan dates, constantly having to foot the bill in some cases, like and then constantly getting nothing in return. It's just like, I don't really know if that's going to be much fun. That's why I think that Michael Sartain is right in the sense that cold approach is good if you want to build confidence, but as a dating strategy, I don't really think it's all that. But I think that like going to bars and stuff, going to pubs and stuff, is a really good way to approach. But what do you think?
Honestly, I don't know. I think day game is better than nightclubs because it's like
Not
like
clubs,
bars and clubs and stuff. It's like bars. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like they're a little. It's a little too it's a little too hierarchical, because it's like there are too many guys there that are competing. In day game you don't have as much competition. But like I think Michael Sartain said something about how he gets to know like the owner of the restaurant or something. Like the owner comes out and talks to him whenever he goes to the restaurant, and that's like social proof or like
yeah. And you
like
have to
that kind of thing.
remember when you do the approaching and like constantly going on dates like a conveyor belt and nothing happens, it's just like it just starts to get old. And it's like, I was also going to add that when you actually have pre-selection and when she sees that you have other women beside you, that will make her more attracted. So I was going to say that we both do agree on certain things, but I would say that we need to think bigger than dating apps. We need to think bigger than cold approach as well. But cold approach is good, don't get me wrong, if you want to build your confidence. But as a dating strategy, I still think pre-selection is number one.
Yeah.
Approaches regularly. These are the conversion rates that you should expect if you're a beginner. And again, I'm accounting for the fact that you're probably average looking. If you're above average looking, if you're tall, great, you're probably going to get better results. But these are the numbers that you should expect on average. So first of all, 25% of approaches will give numbers, which means 1 in every 4 girls that you talk to are going to give you their number. Second, 50% of numbers will text back. So let's say that you get 10 numbers from cold approaching, around 5 of those numbers are actually going to text you back. And then 30% of girls who text back will go on a date, right? So let's say, you have 3 girls who text you back, then you should expect to go on a date with at least one of them. So this means that for every 20 approaches you do as a beginner who's average looking, and again, this varies by location, but generally speaking, 20 approaches equals 1 date, okay? These are just average results here. So what are the best locations to shoot volume? Malls, park, streets, festivals, bars and clubs, coffee shops, farmers market, large campuses, emphasis on large, public transit. Now, what you want to do is you want to be smart with how you approach, because you could shoot a ton of volume in a place that's packed, but you don't want to shoot a ton of volume in certain locations because you could poison the well. So some of the worst locations to shoot volume are gym, class, libraries, grocery stores, professional settings, or work, because chances are the girls there know each other. Chances are you're probably going to see her again, and if it's awkward and it doesn't go well, then there could be some tension. So I'm not saying don't approach at these places, by the way, you certainly should. It's just that you should be more conservative with approaching these locations. Like if you're at the gym, don't approach 10 girls at the gym. Approach 1 or 2 that you find really attractive. And your percentages will increase as your game gets better, as your confidence gets better, and as your looks max, which you should be doing all 3. So yeah, let's move on. The last step here is to reflect. Is this worth it for you? Because if you've done over 50 approaches and you have not gotten any results, it's time to take a step back. That means that there's a problem and we need to figure out what that problem is. So if we're going to do some troubleshooting, there are probably 3 things that are going on. Number 1 is you have a looks problem. Your looks or your height are simply not good enough. The second thing is that your social mannerisms are off. So like you're scaring women away. Maybe you have a bit of neurodivergence. You're like socially uncalibrated. And lastly, your mark.
I would say, just a quick pause, that neurodivergence is not as big of a handicap as you think it is. And the reason I say this is because I am actually neurodivergent. And my success rate for cold approach is quite high. It's higher than most people, for sure. So while it might actually be a disadvantage in some cases, I feel like once you learn how game works, because the autistic brain is very, what's it called? It's very black and white, and it sees things as systems and funnels. So once autistic men without the red pill perform way worse than non-autistic men, but autistic men after the red pill are very dangerous when it comes to dating. What do you think?
I think that I think that the the red pill taking it, I think that it'll definitely help an autistic guy, but I still think it's a bit of a disadvantage over being neurotypical because like you have to, there isn't to kind of be make sure that you have the right mannerisms, whereas like for someone who's more neurotypical, those mannerisms that are just normal would just come out. It's like they know like how to have the right tone of voice and how to express themselves better. But like I think that it's definitely very feasible for like a autistic guy to get results.
Yeah, but I still think
It's not really an excuse.
no. So if neither of them learned red pill, right, then I think that the neurotypical guy wins. But if they watched red pill, the autistic guys can apply it better because autistic guys think systematically. Does that make sense?
I don't know if he'll do better, but I think he'll do fairly okay if he gets the right information.
I would say better though, genuinely, because the neurotypical guys I know, right? Most of them don't watch this stuff. Most of them are just still like simping, seeking rapport, being low status, being out of shape. So I really don't think that if unless it's like severe autism, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Thoughts?
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on like? So he says that after if you've done 50 approaches and you have not gotten any results, I guess he defines results probably as like dates or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? That would probably be the best metric for results. Because if she actually shows up for a date that shows interest, I think that this is a good thing because it's like he's saying, on one side people will say, oh, if you try a little bit and like if you approach like 2 girls and like or like 10 girls or like 20 girls and you get rejected by all of them, oh, that means it's just or not. If you don't get any dates from it, oh, that just means it's over for you. But like. I think that he takes more of a middle approach because like some people will also say, oh you have to approach the first 200 approaches are just a warm up, bro. That's just cope. But like 50 approaches and you've gotten like no dates, that's like okay, just take a break because like you don't want to like affect your mental health too poorly.
Yeah, he's right. So I would argue,
Definitely get some volume in before you draw any conclusions or anything like that.
I agree. Like I think you should get volume. I still much prefer pre-selection, but I've done cold approach as well, so I've been able to do both.
Kit majors you rich, you may live in a very competitive place where you're either going to need more exposure or you're going to need to relocate somewhere else. So what we want to do is we want to fix these problems and then re-enter, right? So if your looks are inadequate, you want to looks max. Whether this is soft or hard maxing is up to you. Again, if you need help with specific looks maxing advice, I also provide that in my community. In fact, I also have a full looks maxing guide. I'm telling you guys, not to like glaze my community, but we have the most comprehensive well-rounded framework on the market right now. Like most communities you'll find are either game related or looks related. We integrate both because we understand both matter. So the second thing is awareness and correction of bad social behaviors. Like if you're socially off, you need to figure out what it is that makes you socially off. And then obviously, if your market is rigged, the only thing you can do is change your location. So yeah, that's pretty much it. You want to constantly be reflecting because if you've done 50 approaches and you've gotten rejected all the time, then yes, at that point you are farming trauma. At that point, it's wise to step back and see what's going on here. But for most of you, you don't need to really looks max first and then cold approach. Most of you guys don't really have looks so bad that if you cold approach, you wouldn't get any results. And the reason I don't recommend you have this mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna looks max first and then I'm gonna cold approach is because it's never gonna be enough. Trust me. You're gonna looks max and you're gonna be like, well, I could still be better looking before I cold approach, and the cycle's never gonna end. So you might as well just tackle both head on, work on both at the same time, And yeah, that's pretty much my full cold approaching blueprint. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
Right, so we've ended the video now, and we're going to wrap up very soon. But I just wanted to address, are there any final points that you want to make before we end this stream?
Yeah, so what I was gonna say is like, I think that these two videos, like, you know, the YBC cold approach guide and like the playing with fire one, I think these are the two videos I would probably show to someone who's just like very new to cold approach and just needs the basics given to them, because like, um, I feel like these are just like good like summaries and like. I think one example of a cold approach video I wouldn't show is the Face IQ one, which, you know, I know we're gonna react to that at some point maybe, but like that video was not very good in my opinion. But
Why is
it's
that?
not very surprising that like a black pillar wouldn't really give. Well, I just think that he I don't know. I mean, it keeps coming back to this, but I think he gave like he gave advice to do like a very indirect strategy. And like I don't think he gave like I don't think he was instilling people with the right mindsets or whatever.
Face
You
IQ
know,
is quite
that
robotic.
these
isn't it?
videos kind of did.
Face IQ is quite robotic.
What?
As in, he speaks quite robotic, don't you think?
I agree. I think you know, and I guess like Wheat Waffles. I don't think Wheat Waffles speaks robotic, but he's kind of robotic in the what he says. But they're both robotic kind of in their own way. But I think I would actually say that Wheat Waffles' advice is better than Face IQ's as far as cold approaching.
Yeah, I'd say I
Like
have to agree with that.
that's because the guys we've watched have like. I like direct like starting
Actually, no,
out, and
maybe
every
not. I
single
might
guy
say
we've
I
watched
prefer
so
Face
far.
IQs to Wheats.
Yeah.
So I think we'll end it here, and I'll send you some more resources. And I think it was really good to have you guys on. So for all the people who watched, thank you very much, and we'll do this again next time.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And good stream.
Thank you, stream.